Welcome to the Rich Mind Podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Today, I've got Greg Young with us again. We're going to talk a little bit today and go into the details a little bit more about health and nutrition as far as like the things that we are consuming. Greg looks and does things a little bit different than I do. And he and I were having a little bit of a text thread earlier. I was asking him some questions and he shared back with me that things that he was doing or is not doing. And I'm like, yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. So anyways, he didn't share with me. So I'm actually very curious exactly what's going to come out of this conversation today. But the different supplements that we're taking, I'll share with you some of the things that I'm doing, the people that I'm following as well. I'm learning and discovering new things all the time. You may or may not know I'm 51. I've lost both of my parents to cancer early on in their lives, which has spurred me to try to get as good as I possibly can. I'm not going to proclaim that I'm the cleanest eater or the best at any of it, but I will tell you that I'm just a student. I'm just trying to learn as much as I possibly can. And that's where the beauty of different, even AI or even just the technology these days, as far as podcasts and YouTube and just, it's amazing what you can learn in a relatively short period of time from very credentialed individuals that will teach you all kinds of stuff. And so that's the discussion I want to have here today. We'll dive into some of the things that we're doing, what we're not doing, and I'll definitely share some of the, there's an app or two that I'll share that might be useful for you as well. So anyways, Greg, I'm curious on the things you told me that you are or you're not doing. We're always testing. We're trying things out. I am my own guinea pig. I'm trying things out, seeing how I feel, see how I sleep, see how I do different things. And then I adjust from there. I assume you do the same thing.
Yeah. And I mean, it's been a while since I think we've talked about health on this podcast. So this is always a good one to bring back. But you're right. I mean, we're always testing and trying new things and trying to give it enough time to, kind of run its course so we can draw a conclusion from it. But at the same time, like you said, there's always somebody else to listen to, new information. So yeah, it's definitely fun. And I like the health stuff. I've been in health for quite a while now since my weight loss and everything. And, it's been up and down. Like you said, I'm not 100% and, everybody is human. So we make our good choices, our bad choices. And sometimes those bad choices compound a little bit that we don't want them to compound. So, but that's what we're here and we're talking about. And this one will be an interesting one, especially from our differing opinions and also our similar opinions.
Yeah, we don't do exactly the same. I think our goals are the same. The health, being optimal in the way we feel, the way we show up, all those kinds of things is, I think we're in agreement on. That's what we're trying to do. But yeah, we're not approaching it the same way. And I don't think either one of these, the things we'll discuss today, I don't like to put labels on things. So I don't think either one is good or bad. I just think that, and you mentioned the word before we topped on, resonate. It resonates with you. It's like you found a couple of doctors that you're listening to that resonate with how you feel, and it just makes sense to you. Whereas you might share the same thing with me, and it's like, yeah, I don't know if that's going to quite fit into the way I am or who I want to be, that type of thing. So yeah, folks, listen to us today. Don't take either one of these as gospel. This is not the end all be all. That's the blessing and the curse of all the technology and all the information that's out there these days, is that you'll find, and that's maybe, answer this as far as if you're finding this confusion, Greg, as far as it's really literally a confusion. It's like you'll find somebody that says this is good for you, and then you can literally find someone with the exact argument against why whatever this other person said was great for you, and this person says it isn't. Do you find that a lot? Because to me, it drives me insane.
Yeah, that's the way of the world, especially in the health world for sure. I mean, you can, like you said, Google it or throw it into ChatGPT and look for one answer and it'll give you it, and then look for the opposite answer and it'll give you it. So it's like, well, which one is truth or correct or whatever you want to, word you want to throw in there. And that's kind of where you have to, at least in my opinion, is just use your logic and try to kind of go down that road a little bit and see what works for you. And like you said, we both have the same goal of health, but you're 5-6 years older than me. We just have different things going on in our bodies. So, the overall health of our goal of health is there, but it's a huge umbrella, I guess is my point, where there's a lot of things that fall under that. And so it's never going to be exactly the same. And just want to throw this out there. Yeah, we're not doctors or anything like that. So this 100%. Is just two guys talking about our health issues.
Yeah, let's say that again. We are not doctors, so don't take any of this as yeah, these are not health claims. See your medical doctor for anything that we share. These are just things that Greg and I do individually. This is not advice whatsoever in terms of you and your health. So take this information as just that. It's just information. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I forgot that part. That's probably the most important part. So yeah. So when you come across conflicting stories. It's like somebody will say nuts and seeds are bad for you, and then the next person will turn around and say nuts and seeds are good for you, or whatever. I mean, it could be a comparison of any kind. Um, what is do you just test it? Do you like you said? How do you seek that truth for yourself? I'm just curious.
So I think the first thing that I look at is like what's the source? Because I know there's a lot of people online, influencers, and all that stuff on social media. I try to really go to like the doctors because they are, they're the scientists. They're looking at the studies, and a lot of the podcasts that I even listen to, they're referencing, oh, this study from Stanford back in 2018, it tested this, this, and this. I'm like, all right, I can wrap my head around the parameters of the study and where they're drawing that conclusion from, as opposed to someone who has a million followers on Instagram and they have six pack abs. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that has nothing to do with
You're telling me
maybe,
that's not as legit? Is that what you're saying?
I
Maybe
mean,
not. Maybe it is, but maybe it's not.
if they're a doctor, maybe, but if they're not, you know what I mean? Like you could be born with six pack abs and you can eat hot fudge every night, but still have six pack abs for that one person. That's not going to help anybody else who wants six pack abs or to be healthy.
I
Cause
want to know that guy or gal. Where do I get that? I want the six pack abs and the hot fudge sundae.
yeah, I think we all do, but,
Don't we?
yeah, so it just depends who you're listening to, and the more I, try to get away from social media, at least from the influencer point of view, I just really kind of gravitate more towards listening to doctors, podcasts, people with credentials because they, dedicate their lives or their schooling to understand health and nutrition and that kind of thing, as opposed to like even us, like when we say, oh, we're doing this and this, we're not licensed. We didn't go to med school or anything like that. We're just two guys talking about things that are working for us. So that's why I really like to go to the source and try to relay some of that information from those sources as best I can.
So just a little sidebar, and don't let me get too far on this, but this is just something that I mentioned to my wife yesterday. We were out cruising around. Do you feel like the BS meter is like pegged, meaning like you're talking about the influencers and all that kind of stuff? It's like I just don't. I'm kind of the same way, right? The same people that would have maybe caught my attention, let's say 5 years ago. It's like I see that stuff nowadays, and it's just like I just scroll through it. I don't what little time I am spending on social media. It's like I don't get into it as much as I used to. I don't get as influenced by it, I guess, maybe. So hopefully folks out there are listening to this and are feeling the same thing. Are you seeing that as well? You're talking about finding people with credentials as far as the influence or the influencer, um, just their fake lives, I guess. So there again, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm not blaming. I'm not anything. I'm just curious if you're noticing those kind of things because it just feels like it that way for myself.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that too. And even on like, I know my wife watches the news in the mornings and stuff, and I don't watch the news, but every once in a while I'll hear in the background, and it's this influencer is saying this on one of the social media channels or whatever, and like so they're getting play on the news about you know what I mean? Like it's just feeding into everything as opposed to, understanding, talking to real doctors or real people who have kind of been through it and understand it, as opposed to somebody who's kind of just reiterating it and has 2 million followers. Because in our society today, the amount of followers you have is, your power and prestige and all that kind of stuff. And love it or hate it, I don't really like it, but it's the way of the world. But I think you and I, we kind of willfully and just decide to like tune that out a little bit, and kind of go the other way. At least for me, it's what doctors can I rely on and listen to and read and kind of follow their logic. And if the logic makes sense to me, cool, I'm going to try it out for 6 months or a year or whatever that looks like. And, see how that works for me and, the elements that I'm kind of bringing to the table too.
So one thing I'll add to that part of the conversation, bringing it back to the health side, is I look for folks that have gotten results for themselves, meaning
Mm,
real world. They might not be a doctor, but they've got a story. They had a whatever, a disease or even a tumor or whatever, and they've worked themselves through with doing certain things. I'll try to find and locate those types of folks as well that have a
mhm.
story like that. That number one is genuine. That number, you know what I mean? It's not coming from a showy type of way, I guess. Maybe it's more I'll find somebody like that. And that's where I've got a couple of examples of folks that I followed today that you can tell are genuine. They're trying to help you or help them through their story learn whether it's supplementation or just minerals, food, nutrition, just all those kinds of things. And that's where I'll try to find those kinds of folks as well. Doctors, of course, but at the same time, like I said, I will branch out a little bit further into folks that have real life stories that have taken themselves from a severe negative situation and obviously worked themselves into more of a positive situation. That's one thing I do for sure.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too. And I think, from my point of view, we watch a lot of like documentaries about health and mindfulness and all that kind of stuff on, Prime and Netflix. And yeah, to that point, there's a lot of people on there that they had some kind of disease and they found some doctor or some person to guide them. Doesn't have to be a doctor. And all of a sudden they, reverse their situation. So yeah, that's a very good point too, is to kind of find those inspiring stories and those inspirational people and kind of as take that as, with the doctor angle as well.
That's where with the Rich Mind podcast, folks, that's where I try not to ever share things that I'm not currently doing with myself or for myself. That's why I try to share as many stories, personal stories as I possibly can. I know Greg does that as well. He'll share a lot of things that are going on in his own life. And the reason why I do that is because I don't want to act like I know certain things or that I've experienced certain things if I haven't. I'm very mindful of that. And it's like, that's one of the biggest fears. I don't want to be that person that gets pointed saying, hey, you're saying you're claiming you can do X, Y, Z. And then in reality, I'm not doing that. That's like I do not want to do that. I do not want to be that. I don't want to do that. I've met and seen folks that have, and it's like, I don't want to be that person. So yeah, what you see and what you hear here on the Rich Mind podcast, at least from my standpoint, and I'm speaking for Greg as well, you can voice up and say that for yourself, Greg. But yeah, this is true reality. So the things that we'll share with you here today, and even the other things that we've discussed with the personal development and working through our businesses and working through our family problems and just life in general, which is what we discuss here on each episode. Yeah, for me, they're coming from a genuine standpoint. This is just real life as much as I can possibly share without disclosing every single detail, but as much as we possibly can. So yeah, any thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, no, 100% agree. I think you said it great. So yeah, I'm with you too. I mean, nobody wants to say one thing and then do the other, right? Kind of have that imposter syndrome in your head, or, especially when you're out here on the air and, broadcasting to others. Yeah, I think we both definitely have that genuine approach for sure.
And it makes it a lot easier to record. Just hit record and just be yourself. Just talk about your own life and your own stuff. And then whether it resonates with folks, you hope it does. So if you listen to us and you're enjoying these episodes, please like and share with your family and friends. We greatly appreciate that. But yeah, at the same time, yeah, let's dive into some of the things that we're doing from a health standpoint. Once again, we are not health professionals. We are not doctors. We are nothing. We are just two guys. One's in our mid 40s and I'm a little bit older than 50. And we're just trying to figure this out on our own. We've been both on our own health journeys. As I mentioned, my parents lost their lives early to cancer, which has driven me to get better educated for myself. And I know Greg has had his particular health issues as well. That's driven him to learn things also. I am my own guinea pig. I'm trying things out all the time, figuring out. So that's the best part is as I dive further and I try something new, I can really quickly tell whether it's moving the needle positive or negative. It's because I'm beginning to get so in tune with how I feel on a daily basis. Almost, I don't want to say instantly when I wake up in the morning, but probably within 2 or 3 hours of waking up, I can tell if it's going to be a good day or not. Uh, to be honest, today I woke up and it's like, yeah, I feel good today. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking your ear off. So Greg, take it over, man. Tell us some of the things that you're focusing on, some of the things that you're doing for yourself, and I'll definitely share some of mine as well.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things that I'm focusing on is, just talking to my brother actually about some of this stuff, but just doing the things that are good for you and avoiding the things that you know are bad for you, even though, like logically, I think it's safe to say, smoking a cigarette is very bad. A lot of people would say it's unhealthy, it's a carcinogen, all that stuff. But I know there's still people out there that are smoking cigarettes, they're addicted to it. And I get it. Like I've been addicted to food probably a lot of my life, to be honest.
And I've been addicted to cigarettes. I used to smoke and I used to chew tobacco back in my 20s, probably going into my 30s. So yeah, I've been there. So yeah, please continue. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things like we all have, I guess, our vices or our things that are going to, potentially take us down, even though logically we understand, yeah, that's not good for you. Why do I keep doing it? So that's what I'm really trying to kind of like override in my brain a little bit of, I know this is bad for me. I know it's going to taste good. For me, it's food. But afterwards, 5 minutes after I eat something bad or drink something bad, I'm like, oh, now I'm just beating myself up. So is it worth that 5 minutes of that, dopamine hit in my head? Sometimes
So
like before it
is it?
is, but
Yeah. So
afterwards
is
it's
it?
not. So
Because
it's very,
that's the big question. Because I have that same challenge myself. I'll know what it is that I shouldn't eat, but man, that it's screaming my name when it's time, when it's right there in front of me, or when I have the opportunity to do it. Yeah, it's
mhm.
tough.
Yeah, it's really tough. So, and that's just one thing that I'm really trying to get ahead of is, just be really conscious about it. Like, and you, and it's because it's really hard to have that, what is it called? Like cognitive dissonance, where you're basically like tug of war with yourself when you're looking at that piece of pizza for me. And it's like, oh man, it's going to taste so good. It's fresh out of the oven and blah, blah, blah. And then, but I know 10 minutes later, my stomach's probably going to hurt. And I'm mentally going to be like, oh, you're an idiot. Why did you do that? Now you're, it's just going to put me down that bad spiral, right? Spiraling down. So I'm really trying to get ahead of that. And it's not easy, but again, it's just like it's a habit that we have to create and we have to reinforce it. And then once you do that, it gets easier and easier. It's never 100%, I don't think, but I think once you're more aware of, am I making this decision consciously or unconsciously, that's where you have like a little bit more self awareness. And sometimes you can make that decision of like, you know what, I know this is going to be bad for me, but it's been 2 weeks since I've had a slice of pizza or whatever. And you can kind of justify it, but then not go down that bad spiral and just get right back on track.
And not continue. It's like it's just a one and done. It's
Right.
yeah. So I honestly had pizza yesterday, Greg. So hopefully that and it was good. But you're right. After the fact, I didn't necessarily feel so good because for me, sometimes I just have a hard problem putting it down. Like I'll have a piece and then okay, I'll have another piece. And the
Yep.
next thing you know, I'm 4 pieces into it. And it's like, okay, that was probably a little too much. That's probably my hardest problem is or biggest problem is turning it off. Like I'll give myself the permission, okay, let's try it today. And I know I'm not going to feel well afterwards, but then I just don't stop. I just keep consuming more and more and more. Ice cream's another one for me. Sweets in general, ice cream, cookies. Let me ask you, and you have been, and I don't know if you still are, would you consider yourself more of a vegetarian or are you doing any meat at all at this point?
So I kind of go back and forth on that a little bit, but I think the science and the logic for me is pointing more towards being, I'd say more like plant-based or whole food plant-based, maybe a little meat here and there, little fish here and there. But yeah, the more I get into it, and the more of the scientists and doctors that I listen to, they're more like, 95% plants and like, 5% here and there, some meat and fish, for various reasons too. And logically, it makes sense to me because I think that's where a lot of all the nutrients are. And that's where I think a lot of our current food doesn't have those nutrients. Like you said, pizza, it's, it's highly processed. It's, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of
I do.
nutrients in pizza as opposed to, you know,
You
uh,
speak to a pizza maker though, they're going to tell you, yeah, it's the most nutrient dense thing in the whole wide world, right?
oh
It's
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they're the salesman, right? So, and I'm not here to sell the vegetarian diet, but for me, logically, it makes sense because there's so many different minerals and vitamins and phytonutrient, like everything that is good for us comes from the plants, at least from my understanding. And I'm being my mid 40s and everything, I'm not 25 anymore. So you really have to, like you said, you mentioned cancer and some other big ticket items that you never know what's going to happen. And if I can prevent that in any way, knowing what I know, because once you know the information and you don't do anything about it, that's on you, right?
Right.
Like that's your fault or my
Right.
fault. If you don't know, that's a different story. But once you know the information, you don't do anything about it, and something bad happens, that's regret like waiting to happen. And I do not want to live with regret around health.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, once you become aware, it's once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yep.
But once again, you have to take the action. So once again, hopefully maybe this will just inspire some folks to even just go down the road, just go down the path of learning for yourself some of the things that we'll share here today. My wife and I have moved to more of a keto style diet, and I'm not here to proclaim I know exactly what that means, but basically just eliminating wheat and bread and sugars as much as humanly possible.
Nice.
And so the reason why I asked if you were doing a vegetarian is because we have found a keto recipe for a pizza that's broccoli based, not broccoli, cauliflower based.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I mean, it tastes just like
Hmm.
pizza. Um, if you're interested, man, we'll send it to you. Obviously, we've got your number. If you're interested, would that be
Yeah.
something of interest? Okay.
Yeah.
So same thing, folks. If that's something, so pizza, if pizza's your thing and you're wanting a healthier version, what I would consider a healthier version, it's fantastic. It's a my wife bakes it. Um, it's really good. It's like, but I can almost eat too much of it as well. Like
Yeah.
even the too much of a good thing is a bad thing. So, but yeah, it tastes fantastic. Remind me, I'll shoot that over to you. That recipe, it's fantastic. Um, but yeah, that's definitely an option. But yeah, we've gone to more of a keto based. I tried vegetarian for a little while, but man, that was tough for me. So there again, it's whatever resonates with you, whatever feels right to you. I'm not here to argue one way is best, but good, better, or best. That's not for me to decide. Each individual needs to make those decisions. But I will, in my opinion, say that trying something, you know what I mean? Just being aware that trying to do something, but then recognizing it within your own body. When you consume something, how does it make you feel? Other than, does it make you lethargic? Does it make you jittery? Does it make you bloated? Does it make you all kinds of things that I've had to recognize for myself? Because like you mentioned a second ago, Greg, I'm not 25 either. But back when I was younger, probably up into my mid 30s, probably even going into 40. I mean, I could eat anything at any time, and I just wasn't necessarily taking good care of myself. And I never put on weight ever. I never necessarily felt bad, even though I don't think I even back then knew what feeling good was. I think that was part of the problem. I thought that I felt good, but in reality, when I look back on it now, the days when I do feel good, I don't think I felt this good back then when I was treating myself poorly. But with that said, so yeah, I've got to really pay attention to what I put into my body as well. I try to definitely pay attention, and luckily, my wife is on board trying to help me do that as well.
Yeah. And one of the things that I like you said, I heard it the other day and I can't unhear it is, a lot of the issues that people have, whether it's like, heart related or cancer, you know, the bottom line that I understood was those things don't happen overnight. It's not like on Friday you don't have cancer and then Saturday you wake up with a cancer.
Right.
It happens over years, months and years of just activities and habits. And so that one really stuck with me as well. Just like a good habit can compound, a bad habit is compounding maybe right in our bodies right now. You know what I mean? And if you're aware of that, and that's kind of where I'm going with my diet is I just want to prevent everything because I want to live a long, healthy life, not just a long life, right? Because I mean, who wants to be unhealthy when they're in their 70s and they can't, move around or play with your grandchildren or stuff like that. So it's the longer game for sure, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm scaring myself into doing it, but whatever works because I don't want to deal with one of those big ticket items.
So that's my father's story, meaning he went to the doctor not feeling well and walked in and found out that he had this stage 4 cancer that, like you said, it had been brewing for years. It wasn't something that he just all of a sudden caught. I mean, it wasn't a cold. It was something that's been brewing for years, and he ignored the symptoms. He was very poor with the way he ate, drank soda like it was no tomorrow, pop soda. So the sugary drinks, won't even name any names, but you can always, you can think of it. And that's probably what he was drinking. He just didn't really necessarily take care of himself. I think he really thought he was invincible. meaning my grandfather lived to 94-ish, 95, something like that, mid 90s. Even my aunt, his sister, my father's sister, is still alive. And I think she's in her mid 80s at this point. The point being is that I think he really thought he was invincible. And so, like you said, bad habits compounded over decades led to him having this situation where he found out, and then 6 months later he's gone. And so, yeah, that was a huge wake up call for me. It's like, dude, I can't control everything, but the things that I can control, even if I slip up every now and then, like you said, have that pizza or ice cream for myself or something like that. I try to do it not as often, but I definitely don't do it every day. I don't consume it, continuously. And I'm hoping that that'll be good enough. A little bit of a sidebar. I follow, as you probably know from listening to the podcast before, folks, the AI journey, how AI is becoming obviously a big thing. The guys and gals that I'm listening to, even on that side of it, say that if you can make it till about 2035, so about 10 years from now, the possibilities of us almost exponentially adding to our years,
Yeah.
but good years, not just like vegetable years, like sitting in a nursing home or something like that, but good active years to exponentially grow. How many? It could be 125, it could be 150, it could be 200 years. They don't know yet. But with all the technology that's coming online, and how they're going to be able to plug into each one of us individually to be able to tell us what we should do and what we shouldn't do, and you know what I mean?
Mhm.
That is exciting as well. So for me, it's like I'm trying to hold on. I just need to make sure that I can make it, whether it's 2035, 2045, whatever the date ends up being. It could be next year for all I know. But the point is I'm just trying to make sure that I get myself to that point, because I want to be able to participate in some of that where they can, plug into me, whatever that even looks like, right? And they'll be able to say, you should supplement with this, or you need to eat this, or whatever the prescription, I guess, maybe whatever that is.
Mhm.
I'm just looking forward to that day. That'll be a good day. Have you heard about those things too?
Yeah, I forget the technical term, but I've heard some podcasters talk about that, and there's like yeah, I can't think of the term, but it's basically like you said, it's the point of once you hit that, as long as you take care of yourself, then yeah, you can actually add years on instead of deteriorating and aging. So it's kind of a cool like halfway point or midpoint or whatever you want to call it. But once you hit that point, I think as long as you have the means and the drive to do everything, yeah, the chances of you extending your life and the health and everything it's there. So it's as long as that's an opportunity, it should be a fun future.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's see if we can get there. That's why I'm excited, even for my kids and obviously now my grandkids. It's like, wow, the future's it's going to be interesting. I was thinking about that this morning about me personally. So I was trying to think, man, if I can make it to 2100, I mean, can you imagine that? Just think about that. 2100.
Sounds so
That just
far
sounds
away.
weird, doesn't it? Year
Yeah.
2100. 75 more years. They're saying that that's going to be possible. We'll see, right? We'll see. Obviously, who knows? Listen to this in the future, you'll be looking back going 2100. How about 2200?
Yeah. Just think how many episodes that's going to take us to at 2100.
Man,
People
you're
are
gonna
going to be
get
sick of
tired of me,
us.
Greg. Yeah, you're gonna get tired of me, bud. Yeah, for sure. So let's maybe just dive into just a few things people can take away of the things that we are individually doing. Um, like I said, once again, this is just things that I can even just go through my morning routine or even my daily routine. Some of the things I'm taking from a supplement standpoint. We talked about a little bit more about our diets here, leaning more towards the keto style diet. You can do your research and figure out exactly what that looks like for yourself. Greg leans more vegetarian. Once again, neither one I don't think is great. You know what I mean? It's not good or bad. It's just whatever fits into our own lifestyle. And I would encourage you to try both. I have tried both, and just see which one fits. But yeah, is there anything that you're doing specifically with your daily routine, Greg, that you can leave folks with here today?
So I've actually increased my morning routine and my night routine. 'Cause I didn't really, I heard on a podcast, like everybody has a morning routine, whether they admit it or like know what it is. Cause everybody does things in the morning routinely. And I was like, all right, that's a pretty good way to like frame it. So if you're going to have a morning routine, you might as well take control of it. Or I mean, if you want to take control of it, have that agency over like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do instead of, you brush your teeth, you get your coffee, like, that's a morning routine too. And they're probably both beneficial, right? Depending on how you look at coffee, I guess. But anyway, so I've been really trying to nail down my intentions for my morning routine, my night routine. I've been journaling a little bit more because I know you push journaling a lot, and
That's awesome.
Yeah, and one thing I'm really not really trying to give myself is a little leeway, because I guess kind of as like a perfectionist sometimes it's, well, no, you have to journal Monday through Friday and then take Saturday and Sunday off. It's like, no, like it, whenever I want to journal, I journal,
Yeah.
and I give myself that grace of, I haven't journaled in 2 days. All right, that's totally fine. Like there's no report card or right or wrong for me, because in the past it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you got to do this kind of workout, and Tuesday. No, I'm done with that. So, I do have obviously some parameters around certain things like, amount of days I'm going to work out and that kind of thing. But when it comes to things that I'm not 100%, I don't want to do 5 days a week, then I'll just give myself a little bit of that leeway. And journaling is one of them, because I just don't want to journal every day. I can't journal every day, but every 2 or 3 days it'll hit me and be like, all right, cool. I got something to put down, and I want to, save that forever, or a thought or whatever. And so kind of give myself a little bit more leeway with my morning routine in certain things, and other things are definitely a little bit more stricter. So, how about you? What are your thoughts on that, or your experience?
I love that. I want to clap. I'm clapping for you because that's awesome, dude. That's all the journaling. That's awesome. I'm telling you that simple practice will change your life. And the reason why I say that is because it's changed mine. So, like you said, don't push for it. You know what I mean? Don't stress about it. So you're talking about routines. My routine, we are very routine in our house. So that's one thing that, good or bad, doesn't matter. I'm a routine kind of guy. And so we've got a current routine around our house in the mornings, and it got disrupted just the day. It was, we were recording on Sunday. This was Friday morning, and my day it was jacked up to the point where, you know what I mean? It just kind of threw everything out of kilter, and just, it was just a
Yeah.
weird day. And I missed journaling for a couple of days, and I never miss it 2 days in a row. I wrote this morning. And so I picked it right back up, but I didn't beat myself up over it. So yes, 100%, just pick it up when you have a chance. If your routine gets messed out of whack, it's no big deal. Yeah. No one sees my journals except for me. So like you said, no one's going to know but me, and anybody else that reads it in the future and notices that, 2 days ago's date versus I put the date on mine. But yeah, that's good. I'm clapping again. Congratulations, man. That's fantastic. Keep up on that. But yeah, routines for sure. So my routine for myself is I try to get some water in first thing when I wake up. I am actually doing hydrogen water. I don't know. Are you familiar with hydrogen water, Greg?
Yeah, we have one of those contraptions.
Yeah, we did talk about that. So I've got the Echo brand hydrogen water flask is what I use. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I know there's all different kinds of varieties out there, but that's what I have. I usually try to consume, I think it's 12 ounces of that right soon after I get up. Then I take a men's multivitamin. One thing I learned, and this came from Gary Brecka. If you're not following Gary, that's somebody that I follow. Once again, I don't take everything he says as like truth, but I've learned a lot, things that I didn't necessarily know. And one thing he taught me it's probably been a year or two ago, about the difference between a methylated vitamin and a non-methylated vitamin. So once again, I'm not going to sit here and try to explain exactly what that is. Go find and look up Gary Brecka and start diving into even what that means. And so that's one thing I do is I take a methylated multivitamin, and that kind of gets me off to a good start. That with some, I take a D3 vitamin. And I pair that with a K2. So K2 D3, once again, do some research and find out why that's important. But I found out through my own research that is important. So that's why I take those two. I do take a fish oil, omega-3 fish oil as well. And what else do I take in the morning? I think that is it. So then along with my hydrogen water, that's pretty much it. I don't drink coffee. I actually do have a Go Energy and hydration. Shout out to Glade Paulson and Paul Caro. They are the founders of Go Energy and Hydration. I have always drank energy drinks. So for the longest time, I was drinking pops and sodas like my dad forever. I've gotten away from that. And so I found an MLM business or a company that had a energy drink that I consumed that product for years, realized and found out through some research that obviously that wasn't very good for me as well. And then I discovered Glade. Glade is a friend of the podcast. I've interviewed him a long time ago, and he just has launched this new product. I'm actually going to interview him here in a few days. But he shared it with me. He sent me some samples, and it's fantastic. It's really good, and the ingredients are clean. They're really clean, which
Nice.
is also fantastic. So I won't go into too much details about that, but yeah, Go Energy and Hydration, Paragon Nutrition. That would definitely be a shout out to them as well. A brand new company that they're trying to make it out there amongst all the other giants in the industry. But this is good stuff. So yeah, I'll leave it there. So I mentioned Gary Brecka. One other person I would just want to shout out as well, because I've learned a ton from him as well. Ian Clark, Activation Products. Ian Clark. If you search for them, any type of Google, he's got his own podcast. You can go down that road. He is one of those that has a great story. So when he was in his mid 40s, he had a very large tumor and was like caked with disease from inside. It was really bad. So through his own search and his own using himself like I am as his own guinea pig, he's learned different ways to get himself. He's in his mid 60s now, doing fantastic. Anyways, I learned about him back during COVID and just kind of dove into the things he was teaching. Love it. And so anything activation products, I would highly recommend as well. I consume those on a daily basis as well. So once again, even like we talked about at the very beginning of this episode, the things I'm sharing, I'm actually doing, and I've been doing for a very long time. I'm not trying to promote, push, none of the stuff. It's just go out there, do your own research. But these are the things that I'm consuming on a daily basis, and I'm seeing the needle move for myself. Sleeping better, more energy. This is the middle of the day for us here as we're recording, and this is usually typically about a downtime for me. I usually get that 2-3 o'clock slump, and lately, I would say the last 6 months or so, I've really been doing a lot better. And I would say it's because number one, I changed my diet, consuming a lot of water, and then all the different things that I mentioned here already. So anyways, anything else like that for yourself, Greg, here before we wrap this one up here today?
I was just going to say to our listeners, if anybody wants to reach out, I can name some doctors that I'm listening to and podcasts and all that stuff, but I don't want to just throw it out there if people aren't interested per se. So if anybody wants to reach out to me directly on the whole food, plant-based, vegetarian, whatever you want to call it side of things, I love talking about this stuff and sharing resources and having conversations just like this, where it's open. It's not, you're right, I'm wrong. This is what I come to believe. So if any listeners want to do that, reach out to us at info@richmind.co. Happy to have a conversation, whether that's an email, phone call. I love talking about this stuff on that side. And I'm sure Randy, maybe not on the plant-based side, but on some other stuff that we're talking about. We're open books. So we'd love to have conversations with you guys.
100%. Yeah. info@richmind.co. Reach out to us. Let us know. We would definitely love to help support you in any way possible. So if you're out there trying to figure out this health journey for yourself, once again, I'm not proclaiming I'm not an expert at it, but I'm further down the road than some. And that's kind of the whole point, just kind of reaching back and trying to share what I've learned. Hopefully just even some of the tidbits that I have shared here today will help you at least go out there and start doing some, get yourself educated. That's part of one of the pillars for the Rich Mind podcast, is that self-education piece. Go out there and start learning some of the things that we're discussing here today, and then try it out. You don't have to go all in on one or, any of it. Just try it and see what happens. Just like journaling, just like Greg's doing with journaling. That's so exciting. He's trying it, and then he's going to get a result, and then he can pivot from there and decide if it's going to work or not work and fit into his lifestyle. So that's fantastic. So man, this has been a lot of fun. Maybe we'll try to get on here and have another conversation about this type of thing as we keep progressing, trying to get ourselves even a little bit better. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. So folks, go out there, have a fantastic day. We appreciate your time and attention. Go out there, like I said, and reach out to us, info@richmind.co. You can head over to richmind.co and download any of the free resources we have available. Check out the past episodes that we've launched and released as well. And we just want to try to help you become the best version of yourself. We're trying to share as much as we can as far as wisdom that we've gained through our journey. And we're just trying to share that as much as we can to help you on yours as well. So as I mentioned, have a fantastic day. We'll look forward to coming back with the next episode again very soon. Until then, folks, bye now.
Thank you for joining us today on the Rich Mind podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like and share it with someone you know. Also, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform and never miss an episode. One last thing, don't ever forget that your mind is the first place where wealth is created. Keep dreaming big, take action, and together, let's build wealth. a legacy, and a life we love.